it's developing relationships with the buyers or the engineers at the various companies. And so it is certainly competitive because you are, at the end of the day, you're selling copper and you're selling wiring cable. So it's not really necessarily the product itself that's a differentiator. It's how do you provide the services? How do you interact with your customers? It really becomes the differentiator. And so, yeah, certainly competitive, certainly challenging with, as everyone has challenges right now with supply chain and the cost of raw materials. But it really comes down to how good are you at trying to understand the customer's needs, the customer's problems, and how creative are you in trying to solve those problems?
Welcome. It's over a pint. I don't know what number it is, but it's getting up there. I'm here with my bud, the Veep over at Celtic Advertising, Mr. Kurt Langle.
Cheers.
Kurt, you fired up today for Dean?
I am pretty, Pat, I'm fired up all the time on these podcasts.
You know what?
This has been fun.
We've been lucky. We've had on a ton of great guests. I'm pumped because we've been trying to get Dean on for a while, and it's just, schedules are what they are.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be cool because Dean's just a hardcore in his background and his experience as a B2B marketer. And you and I just like this space a ton. We've had some cool guests.
For sure.
I think this is going to be another just freaking home run. You ready to start? You ready
no
to
pressure on our guests, but it will be a home run.
Yeah. Dean Stier, welcome to the pod, man. How you doing?
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Really appreciate it. And no pressure at all, right? That's the first time I think the word cool has been used in the same sentence as me. So that was very generous of you. I appreciate it.
Oh, stop it. Yeah. So Dean, you know the routine here, right? We talked to you about this. It's called Over a Pint for a reason. We're sharing what we drink.
That's right? The only reason I'm here, actually, is because it's over a pint.
God bless.
Yeah,
it's
really,
a beautiful summer day. I hope you got a couple things in front of you.
I do. Well, I have at least one. So that's
go. What do you got, man?
Well, I'm actually enjoying a nice crisp Sam Adams, the original Boston Lager, in its appropriate glass. So
looks good.
Yeah, it's quite delicious. So the glass is important. I'd highly recommend going the extra mile.
That is a great beer. It's also a great town. I love Boston, but I also Samuel Adams, like that just looks tasty. Pat, I'm going with a coffee stout from Central Waters. I've had this before. It seemed like I need a little pick-me-upper. So I'm like, I can't bring coffee to the show, but I could go with a coffee stout. So that's what I'm doing, a coffee stout. Cheers, Dean.
Awesome.
Cheers.
So yesterday when we were doing, I was pumping up from Wisconsin Brewing, the Amber Ale. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to my man JB who delivered these today. I got the Yankee IPA, which is I'm going to be opening that in a minute. This is a little bit. There we go. A little bit.
Okay.
So I'm going to be enjoying that. I've also got, guys, I've got it lined up here because I knew Dean, you're going to be bringing the fire, so I wanted to make sure I was well hydrated. I got the IPA in front of me. I got a coffee. And I got this big thing full of water here too.
Wow,
so
okay, interesting. Yeah,
we are ready to hit it.
We'll make sure we get through all that.
Did you go to the bathroom, Pat, before we? You're all good.
Catherine, so
let's go. You got a lot of liquid there. Okay, just making sure.
Let's go.
All right,
Dean. Thanks for being on the show. Let's start here. Give us a little bit of background about you and what you're doing. The mic is yours.
Sure. So a little bit of background. I actually kind of stumbled into marketing. I graduated from University of Wisconsin back in '99, and with a journalism degree, and was really thinking I would go into either creative writing or maybe copywriting, maybe public relations. I knew I wanted to do something creative, but also was interested in the corporate world. And I was really fortunate to find out after graduation, finding a great opportunity with a small little catalog company based in Milwaukee called National Business Furniture, which was a B2B company selling furniture to businesses and government agencies. And it was a catalog shop that was run downtown right on Water Street. Downtown Milwaukee was actually, it was still the original founders. It was a husband and wife, George and Julie Mosier, that started National Business Furniture. They still own the company. And they were looking for a quote unquote marketing assistant, which was kind of a jack of all trades type of role it was really more product merchandising and working with different suppliers to bring bring products into the catalog. And so I was fortunate to join the company at that point, kind of entry level, and just really learn all about, in the beginning, more just on the product side, product merchandising. And as the company grew, they realized that with the advent of the web taking off, they couldn't just stay a catalog company. They needed to branch out into more of a web presence as well. And that was just great for me because I was just really curious about what did that look like. And so as the company grew, eventually George and Julie sold the company to a different firm, but we kept National Business Furniture going. Became more of a multi-channel brand with support with outside sales, the catalog, and then the online piece of it. And I just grew with the company and spent the first 20 years of my career really growing with National Business Furniture, ultimately becoming the chief marketing officer toward the end of my stay there, and really just kind of learned all about the importance of product, the way to package up different products and get it to the right customer at the right time. It was a great run, and then moved over to my new role, which is now I've been with IEWC for the past a little over a year now, and IEWC is just a really fascinating company. It's we're based in New Berlin, Wisconsin, so that's where our headquarters are, and we're a wiring cable distributor. That really, it's just got this great story of really providing everything that companies need to help connect and to advance a connected world. And so when you think about everything that requires electricity, every vehicles, appliances, machinery, and then beyond electricity, data. Just thinking through data centers and cell towers, anything that has to do with data, electricity. IEWC is helping those companies move forward and build out those machines and products and data centers. And IEWC is really there to support those suppliers and build out that infrastructure. So it's a really cool company that's located right here in Milwaukee. That was just really honored to join and help them with their digital journey.
Awesome. That does a great job, Dean, of summing things up. So let me ask you this. I want to stay at a pretty high level for just a moment, and then we'll start going deep. Dean, you've been in the space a long time, right? You've got and I know you're pretty well networked. You know a lot of people. Dean, from your perspective, what's going on in just the B2B space in general? Sum that up for us. What you're seeing, what you're hearing from others. It's getting bumpy out there, right? I just saw a post come in from the Wall Street Journal. Stock market's taking a tank, right?
Yeah.
Recessions. If we're not in it, it's knocking on the door big time. Yeah. What's happening? What's going on?
So I would say from a B2B side, specifically from IEWC, 2021 was actually a record year for IEWC, coming off of 2020, and 2022 is actually continuing on that path. And I think at least what we're seeing from being a supplier to manufacturers and contract manufacturers, is that when COVID hit, there's this great pullback of capacity and demand, and then there was like this immediate snapback of we got to get back up and running, and there was like this crush of demand and supply chain, which it's a pretty old story, but you hear it over and over again, supply chain issues. But that's where we're at. I think we're still catching up with all the catch-up work that had to be done from all the lost manufacturing that happened early in the pandemic, and so I see that bearing out, and we're using this time to really strengthen our relationships with our suppliers and our customers to really understand how can we help our suppliers as well as our customers, and not just focus on just the customer, which is definitely a noble thing. But IEWC has a very strong culture around creating partnerships with suppliers as well. And for us, that was really key in order to really keep our inventory up to level and to keep our commitments to our customers. And so, I think we're seeing, just on a broader level from a B2B space, I think there's a lot more activity happening in the B2B side of things in terms of marketing and in terms of understanding the importance of customer relationships, which I think a lot of times people assume that's a B2C thing, but clearly, and I hear that a lot, even on this podcast. There's a lot going on in the B2B space in terms of people really focusing on the customers, and really trying to make a difference.
Dean, if I could ask, if you want to stay on it a little bit with your, I really found your 20-year experience at National Business Furniture fascinating, just because it sounds like you wore a lot of hats as you came in young. And I personally think sometimes that's the best way to learn, when you're afforded that opportunity to be thrown into the skillet and you're learning different aspects of a business. I think that really helps craft a great professional. But, right now at IEWC, if you could define for us what marketing means at your organization, because as we're learning, marketing means different things to different people or different brands, and provides different functions. How is it defined at your organization? What does it mean?
Yeah, it's a great question, because it's actually one that we're writing the story today about what marketing means. And what I mean by that is, when I was interviewing with IEWC, there was a recognition that there was always a marketing function within the organization, but it felt very reactive. There was, maybe sales needed some collateral, some sales material, marketing, hey, put something together. And so it was very reactive, almost like I want to call it like a job shop, but almost in a way like, hey, this is our, we just need something done. And when I was interviewing with IEWC, the executive team really wanted to change that mentality and have marketing become more of a strategic partner to really help the commercial side of the business, and think about the next places where the businesses could go. So it's to be quite honest, it's a definition that is evolving right now. But ultimately, what marketing means for IWC is helping to define where do we go next as an organization. How do we tell that story to our customers, our suppliers, and even our employees, and our respect, and our potential recruits coming through. So it's shifting away from being a reactive small part within the business to more of a central, more of a proactive way to help be a partner across the commercial side, the supply chain side, and even HR, to really help shape and tell the story of who we are and what we can do.
Dean, you really hit on something that I think it's happening, and I think, Kurt, I think you'll back me up on this, is the companies that are winning big in the B2B space have all kind of adopted that attitude, right?
Yeah.
There are, let's turn back the clock maybe, I don't know, 5-10 years. By and large, you would find a lot of organizations that you summed it up great, Dean. Marketing is a support system for sales. I need a flyer. I need a brochure. Can you do something from the trade show? It's all that reactionary type of stuff, right? Like,
right.
Give
Yep.
me this, as opposed to now it's more of sales has a role, marketing has a role, right? And working together, it could be a very, very powerful, very, very powerful engine. And I see this happening more and more, again, with the companies that are really winning. They're taking that broader view.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's almost like, I look at it as like an orchestra, right? Where you have different sections playing different instruments, and I've seen a lot of companies that have had an adversarial relationship between marketing and sales, and it's almost like a zero-sum game. But really, what you want to have is really is orchestration across these different areas where you have skill sets that you want to heighten and highlight it and really create that partnership. So it's all about understanding and really looking at, from a marketing standpoint, HR, commercial, those are all internal customers. So how do we best serve those internal customers? And I think once you take that approach, it takes it creates that partnership that you really need to drive the business forward. So I totally agree with you, Pat. I think it's really about creating that environment where those groups work well together.
Yeah.
So, the other word I picked up on too, if I could, I heard you say story. And I think that's, it's at the end of the day, we're telling stories. The brand
right.
has to tell the story. And you had said it, it's like, sure, can we do a sell sheet? Sure. Can we do a video? Sure. Can we do some sort of digital initiative? Sure. That seems very reactionary, but the real catch is, and I always admire those brands that take the step back even further and say, you know what? how does this even relate to our voice, to our face, to our brand personality? Because obviously how you bring those initiatives to life needs to kind of be a reflection of who it is you are. I mean, we're meeting you, Dean, and it's like we're getting a sense of what Dean is all about, your personality. Yeah. And I would imagine your company has a personality. I mean, and I guess if you could, to put you on the spot, how would you describe your brand's personality if I had to force you to do so?
I would say, with IEWC, one thing that really impressed me, that really drew me actually into IEWC was they just had a very clear purpose and vision, and I think you can't underestimate that enough. And so IEWC's purpose is very clear. It's to advance a connected world. So when we talk about connecting suppliers and customers together through electric wiring cable, through fiber optics for data. So it has a very literal sense of connecting, advancing a connected world, but it's also about connecting our suppliers and our customers. And so what's great about that purpose is that it works on two levels. One, a very literal level, but on the other hand, a very aspirational level that it allows us to get into other areas that we're still dreaming up today. And so that was really important to me. And I think everything that we do stems off of that purpose, and our vision that supports that purpose is to be our customers and our suppliers' most entrusted partner, helping them to simplify and accelerate their business. And I think from when you talk about, Kurt, what is our personality like? We are, if there's one thing that we're really going after, it's really creating that partnership on two sides, on the customer side and on the supplier side. And I think what that ultimately leads to is a culture of working together, asking a lot of questions, and trying to find out, how can we help out our different partners. And actually, we had an all-employee meeting today, and the president was talking about a meeting that the supply team was having, and they said, our supply team is actually acting like salespeople for our suppliers. Like, they're trying to find out, how can we do things better for you? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really unique aspect of IEWC, and I think that's something that our suppliers really love about us, is because we don't treat suppliers as a means to an end. We treat them truly as part of our business, and our success and your success, go hand in hand. And so, from our standpoint, our culture is all about that mutual respect across our customers and suppliers.
Dean, let's start shifting gears here, and let's start diving a little bit deeper. But on the same vein here, is that, talk to us about your role now. Like, break it down for us. Where does marketing director? Where are you spending your time, your energy, your efforts? Right?
Yeah, so we've really we've moved marketing, and we're starting to structure marketing to three distinct areas, and that's really where, if I think of like the three areas that I'm most focused on right now. We have brand/communication as the first one, product marketing as the second, and then third is growth marketing. And the way I look at that is brand and communication. It's all about keeping that story going, making it clear where IEWC, how we can help our customers, and really tell that story across the world. From the product marketing side, it's how do we position our products? How do we work with both the sales and the supply chain side to really highlight the correct products to the right people at the right time? A lot of, from a historical standpoint with IEWC, a lot of times the commercial team and the supply chain team, they work together to just get products that our customers needed. We're now looking at a much more proactive way of how do we tell the story of our different product lines. We have private label products. We have products from some of our fantastic suppliers that we just want to promote and push more. So that team is focused on that. And then from the growth marketing side, that's really focused on marketing technology, the website, really customer acquisition, building out new strategic markets, and thinking forward to where do we want to go next. And so that's how we've developed marketing right now, and really it's in the early stages of really developing this new model. But we think it's a great structure to help us advance going forward.
You talked about story, you talked about product, you talked about getting the right product in front of the right customer at the right time, right? And you also talked about the website. Dean, talk to us about the website from a manufacturer, a B2B experience. Like, how do you view it? What's its role? How important is this channel? How are you, just give us the lay of the land on that particular marketing tool.
I'll frame it too by talking about just kind of a broader digital transformation, that we're undergoing. I think frankly, most companies are going through some kind of digital transformation one way or another. We have a big focus right now on really creating an omni-channel experience of allowing our customers to interact with us however they prefer and making it as easy for them as possible. The website is certainly a big part of that. It's an area that we're working very hard to improve the overall customer experience. But it's different than perhaps some B2C where the website isn't purely about e-commerce sales. It could be really about driving leads to our commercial team. It could be about product knowledge. Our products and our customers are very, very technical. So you can imagine engineers that have very specific specifications for their products are looking for very specific product details. And so the website needs to be able to provide information on those different products. So the website is really there to provide that content to help drive direct sales where possible, but in most cases really to drive that lead and get in touch with a salesperson so they can really help that engineer and that customer get what they need.
Yeah. So just to hang on this for a minute, Dean, with your site, how are you getting feedback on, man, we need to go deeper here, or well, wait, that's way too deep. Like by the time we want them to call up, if they don't need this information on the site, how do you find that balance, right? Because again, with your technical, I see you guys going pretty far down that, having a lot of discussion around that.
Yeah, we do. A lot of it is we have just a lot of cross-departmental meetings within the company, specifically around sales. What are the questions that customer are asking? How do we best serve up that information? The other piece of it too is what are our salespeople and our customer service people doing to service the customer that we could be automating online, and a lot of our time is really about building out self-service functionality so that our customers can have an easier time of building that out. So in terms of how do we decide how deep to go? To be honest, there's so much low-hanging fruit for us to attack. There's no shortage of different improvements that we're looking at doing, but we do have things like voice of the customer, where we have a customer advisory council. We'll invite customers in, some of our top customers, and just ask them, what is it about working with us that is difficult? Where can we remove some friction and some obstacles? And that really helped drive the initial, I'd say the original omni-channel strategy that we put out. But that's obviously that's a work in progress. So that's a never-ending cycle. And so we're really looking at what is the next phase? Where else can we add value by addition through subtraction? Where can we take things off of the customer's plate so that their life is easier and it just is a benefit for everyone. So that's really where we're trying to focus in on is where can we add by removing things.
You had mentioned earlier that, and I think that's what you just described is great, because you're instilling ownership with your customers, obviously, and you're hearing it right from them. You had said earlier, when you define marketing, there's brand, there's product, there's growth, which I really like, because I think there's a lot of companies that forget about the brand. It's like it's all about product, and it's like, whoa, there is a company behind it too. There's a brand. So I love it. Brand, product, growth. In your industry, Dean, as you work customers through the sales funnel and they're getting ready to make a decision, what does it come down to? Because every industry is different. Sometimes in some industries it's about price. Sometimes it is about the brand's equity, the reputation. If you could, what are some of the key sales influencers in your industry? How does it weight?
I would say I think speed is critical, and transparency and being able to deliver on our promises. And those are really difficult things to do, and we strive really hard to be great at that. So we really look at being really transparent. We work hard with our suppliers in order to secure enough inventory to ship to our customers. But it's all about when they call us and they need a quote for a price on wire. We need to be able to turn around fast and do that. And you can imagine too with copper, most of the products we sell have a huge volume of copper in it. Copper prices fluctuate greatly. They've been on a tear lately, and so we need to be nimble and be able to react quickly and provide visibility to our customers around that. So I would say speed and availability are really the top things that drive decision from a customer standpoint.
How about that, Pat? Speed.
Yeah, I've never heard that before.
I mean, that's just every guest we have on, somehow speed gets woven into every conversation.
Right. Totally. So, Dean, would you say then? I want to kind of go down this path now in talking about the competition. For one, just give us an overview. Is this a very competitive market? I mean, are there thousands of other IEWCs around the country and or the world that you're going up against, or what? How is that?
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's thousands. I think we certainly have our competition. I think it's a pretty small neighborhood, of wiring and cable distributors. I think it really comes down to relationships, and it might sound a little cliche, but it really is. It's developing relationships with the buyers or the engineers at the various companies, and so it is certainly competitive because you are. At the end of the day, you're selling copper and you're selling, wiring cable. So it's not really necessarily the product itself that's a differentiator. It's how do you provide the services? How do you interact with your customers? That really becomes the differentiator. And so, yeah, certainly competitive, certainly challenging with, as everyone has challenges right now with supply chain and the cost of raw materials. But it really comes down to how good are you at trying to understand the customer's needs, the customer's problems, and how creative are you in trying to solve those problems?
Yeah. Awesome. When Kurt, you talked about this a little bit ago. Dean, you brought this up, the 3 areas: brand, product, and growth. Brand, such a key area there in. So just talk to us a little bit. I don't want to steal any company secrets or anything like that, but when you're talking about brand at the organization, what is that even like? Like, how are you guys even addressing the brand story? What are conversations around that like?
Yeah, I was just recently I listened to the conversation that you had with Kelly from Eaton, because it's a very similar thing where she was talking about, a lot of people don't necessarily know about the brand Eaton, but it's everywhere in terms of when you look at your electric box, and in a lot of ways IEWC is the same, and even maybe one step removed. We would help supply materials to a company like Eaton. So when we talk about the brand, it's not like it's not like people are curious who the wired wire and cable distributor is in Milwaukee, but the brand is all around. It goes back to our purpose and our vision, and it's about advancing a connected world. And when you think about it that way, the brand becomes it's on a mission to help advance these companies that are doing incredible things to make life better for all of us. And so when we talk about our brand, there's a lot of pride in what we do every day, because we're helping Caterpillar make that next heavy duty machine. We're helping the aerospace industry create that next incredible fighting machine. So we're doing a lot of great things, maybe a couple steps back, but it's dependent on us being able to deliver to these manufacturers that are counting on us. And so when you look at it that way, it's all about there are people that are dependent on us being able to deliver for them, and it really becomes kind of a mission within the organization. How do we do this better? And so I said there's a lot of pride with that. We recently kind of redid our whole office, whole renovation around our office, updated it. We're celebrating our 60th anniversary this year. There's just a lot of exciting things that are happening around IEWC, and it's about it's about recognizing our past and what we've done so far, but not resting on our laurels. It's about how do we continue doing this? What is the next thing that we can do to make our customers' lives easier and continue to deliver on those promises? And so when we think about brand, it almost never has to do anything with the product. It has to do about how we do it and how we interact with our customers and partners and suppliers.
You know, I love how you went through that, and it reminds me of, you're right, the Eaton that was a great example. I think back to some other manufacturers that our agencies worked with, but I like how you talked about that, Dean, and it's kind of like, you know, it's not everyone is in a situation where it's like, you know, it's like, think of a brand out there, I don't know, it's Coca-Cola. It's like, great, they've got great brand recognition, but I like how you talked through it. It's like, you know what, here's our company. But you know what's most important? It's like maybe when I say the name, you'll know. Maybe you won't.
Yeah.
But most importantly, what it is we do impacts your day to day. It impacts the world. It impacts the things you're touching, and I like that, because that really you're making the connection. It's like, who is the ultimate beneficiary? It's really the world. It's everything that's going on around us. It could be ag. It could be anything you think of. It's like, without us, the world looks a lot different.
Exactly. And,
no, seriously.
Yeah, I like how you phrased that too. And as you were talking, it made me just think, you know, there's brands, you know, Harley Davidson that they clearly have, you know, massive, you know, brand footprint, and it invokes an image. And that's one thing. And IEWC, you know, for the general population, they're not going to know who that is. But when you talk to the people that need our products and services, that becomes a really important brand then, because IEWC, I can trust them. They can deliver on time. You know, they have my back, and they're always looking to help me do that next thing. That's where the brand comes in. It's really about being hyper focused on those customers that really need you, and never forgetting who your customers are. So totally agree with you on that.
Dean, great answer on brand. And while you were talking about that, you talked a lot about to employees as well, and kind of setting the mood and kind of setting the tone, which automatically just leads us into culture, right? Which is a big deal. Talk to us about culture at your place, and more specifically, the role marketing plays in developing that and getting that promoted within.
Yeah, culture is so important to us, and we like to think of, you know, culture. You know, culture doesn't happen by accident. You really have to build it and create the culture that you want, that can help, you know, in service of your purpose and mission. And for us, it's really, again, it drives back to our purpose, to advance a connected world. And the other thing that really helps shape our culture is so I mentioned before, we're in our 60th year right now. Back in the mid 80s, the owners actually sold the company back to the employees. So we've been an employee-owned company since 1985, I think it was the mid 80s. And so there's an incredible sense of pride within the employees around being an ESOP, which means employee share owner plan, where, you know, the company, the employees actually benefit from the success of the company. And that really creates a culture of responsibility and of pride in what we're doing, because, you know, it's not about hitting the quarterly marks for Wall Street. We're doing this to improve the business for ourselves, to really change people's lives, to change families' lives, and it really creates an incredible sense of camaraderie and common cause within the organization. That's really palpable across the organization, and it was a huge draw for me when I joined, because I love the idea of all of us working together to advance, you know, a common cause. And that culture is something that permeates throughout, and it ties in great with this idea of partnerships. You know, it's the employees are the third, you know, leg of that stool when you have customers, suppliers, and employees, and it's all of us working together to really drive, you know, impressive results. And I can't say enough about culture. I think culture is actually the most important. It doesn't matter what kind of strategy you have, if you don't have the right culture to drive it, it's not going to go anywhere. And so it's very intentional at IEWC. We have a fantastic HR team that's really, you know, driving that message day in, day out with our current employees, but also future recruits. And, happy to say that marketing is helping out wherever we can to help tell that story.
Culture is one of the hardest things for any company to wrap their brains around and to really, really make it work and make it hum. Yeah. Big, medium, small, it doesn't matter how big the organization is. Sticking on culture quickly, clearly it's important at IEWC. And you were saying you've got a great team, a great HR department, a great resource to help push that out to the different stakeholders and audiences. Talk a little bit about that. Is it something that's verbally communicated? Is it something that's concrete to the point where it's like, obviously we're living the culture. You better live it, because if you're not living it, we're going to call bullshit on you real quickly, right? Anyone is. Right. So you got to live it. But how is that shared? Is it verbal? Is it on the walls? And I mean, is it all of the above? Like, talk about how that just infiltrates the organization.
Yeah, it's everywhere. So we do reinforce it every chance we get. So whenever we have quarterly all employee meetings or monthly leadership meetings, we hark back to our vision and purpose constantly. We talk about our values at every chance we get, and we do have them pictured across the office. We're actually working on, because of our 60th anniversary, working on a really cool office mural right now that's all about our history, but also our culture and values. So it is something that we reinforce literally through posters and reminders across the office. But it's something that it permeates our meetings. It's how we structure our projects. So we actually look at, when we start a project, we have to say, is this achieving one of our strategic initiatives that really drive our purpose and vision? And if it's not, we're gonna get rid of it. And it really has to tie in together. So it is top of mind all the time, and it's driven by leadership from the executive level to the mid-level all the way down. And frankly, it's when we interview new people, we share our purpose, vision, and our strategic vision, and say, here's what we're about. And if you're excited by this, let's talk. And if you're not excited by it, then this is not the place for you. We really want people that are passionate about where we're going.
Cool. Dean, let's go into some real specifics now, and just getting into some nitty gritty. And maybe for some of these questions too, it'd be interesting to hear what you did over at National Business Furniture. But talk to us about your department, how it's organized, and like what kind of staff do you have? Like what are the key elements that you have in a hardcore B2B marketing department?
Yeah, like I said, it's definitely an area of growth and kind of new beginnings for marketing. So right now we have about 8 people total, including myself on the marketing side, and we did create that structure around those 3 pillars of brand growth and product marketing. So it's really about creating some clear lanes of focus, but understanding that they're not mutually exclusive. Everybody in those different roles, the expectation is that they work across the aisle within marketing, but beyond that, working with the commercial sales team, the customer service team, and the supply chain team as well. So it's structured in a way that we can have clear focus on where we're going next, but not so much structure that we start building silos and not understanding what everyone is doing. So it's definitely a work in progress as we're building out the team, as we're shifting from a reactive group to more of a strategic minded proactive group. And there's more work to be done there, but it's really exciting. I mean, there are just, when we talk about omni-channel digital transformation, how do we help our customers? Marketing can't do this alone. It's all about us, being a helpful provider to our commercial excellence team, our sales team, to really understand where are the problems, how can we identify those and create solutions around them.
Talk to us about their marketing channels. Like what are the kind of the outputs of marketing, right? Obviously website's one of them, right? Yep. How much time and energy and effort are you dedicating to, sales collateral? Trade shows, those types of things, trying to get an understanding of
Yeah, I would say, most of our effort is probably built, or I should say, most of our effort is around supporting and improving the website and turning that into more of a true omni-channel experience. So that's been the primary focus. We do trade shows, which, obviously took a break for a couple of years.
Sure.
We're starting to get back into it now. Trade shows are interesting because it's more about, it's not so much a lead generation play for us as much as it's an opportunity to connect. It's an opportunity to connect with suppliers, other manufacturers, like other similar companies. And so there are some, leads that might come from it, but it's really an opportunity for us to just learn more about the industry and just really connect with other players. So I would say, trade shows are something that we're really excited to get back to because we miss that camaraderie and kind of understanding what's going on. We're really focused on building out more of a marketing automation platform so we can communicate more quickly and more appropriately to different customers at their point of need. So I'd say, between the website and really building out more marketing automation, that's really the primary areas of focus for us right now.
Gotcha.
What's interesting? I'm sorry, I just want to touch on trade shows quickly, if you wouldn't mind, Pat. I think it's, Dean, I think your response to that is pretty telling about the organization. So I would agree. What we've seen that too, where a lot of trade shows that our agency used to attend or clients would attend, it's like some of them were very transactional, like, oh, we used to write business at these trade shows. Well, not as much anymore. Then it was like, well, it's leads. But when you described it, the thing you focused most on was it's an opportunity to see people and build relationships. And I think that is telling about your organization, because some companies are just like, don't need it. And then you start to scratch your head and you're like, well, then maybe you don't need a trade show, but what is it? How does that carry through to other things? Is that really your philosophy when it comes to just personal touch points? Because I think the personal touch point, whether it's a trade show or whether it's meeting someone face to face, I think technology is great. Don't get me wrong. We need it. We love it. That's where we're moving. But we can never get away from the personal touch point. That's such a key part of it. Maybe not so much for other companies, but I that's my philosophy. I stand by it.
Absolutely. We had a wire and electric show here in Milwaukee just a couple of months ago, and what we did is we had our customer appreciation night, immediately following that show. So it was a way for us to say thank you to our customers and again just to chat and have conversations and understand what's going on in the world. So the trade show was really kind of just a mechanism. Everyone's flying in anyways. Let's use this opportunity to connect with our customers in our own backyard and have a chat with them. So you're absolutely right, Kurt. That's really where we're seeing that is. Let's just keep in touch and let's just learn more from each other.
Dean, what about you've been in the space a long time? Where do you fall on the spectrum in terms of building up and having an in-house department versus using agencies?
Yeah, so I've had experiences with both. I think for me, it's critical that companies really build up a core foundation of marketing within the organization, because there's just too many things that are important to educate both internally and externally about your company, and that should just be a core competency within an organization. With that said, the ability to have a team at a certain size, is going to be different for each company. And so I think having agencies there as an extension of your team is really important. So really finding those agencies that can help out, and it can really be, another resource, another arm of your business that can be variable too, where there might be heavy times where you need to lean on them and bring them in. But I think it's important to get, like a stable of really trusted advisors and agencies that you have to work with to really help offset the times where you just can't keep up with everything. So to me, I like a blend. I think it's a huge mistake to rely 100% on an agency. And on the other hand, I think it's probably unrealistic that you can do everything in-house and not ever lean on them either.
Yeah. The head of marketing in today's day and age is an incredibly complicated job. You're blending so many different things. And I think it gets even more complicated when you're in a B2B space, because now you've got just the technology aspect of it, right? You have to understand their lingo and their jargon and all of that. Dean, how the hell do you stay current? How do you stay relevant? What do you consume to kind of stay as up to date as you possibly can? By the way, you've got a family and you're trying to do other things as well. So like, what do you do? What do you read? What do you consume?
It's about just, I think for me, just my approach to everything is just be a constant student, right? It's about just being quiet and just listening as much as possible. So, so I've been with IEWC a little over a year now. I still feel like I'm still learning an incredible amount. It's just, I remember my first month there was just, untangling all the acronyms that were flying my way. So kind of past that, but now it's really just, it's reading, industry trends and journals. So there's a couple of magazines like Electrical Wholesaling. There's a couple other of trade magazines that are really dedicated to the electrical space or the telecom space that I just read. But more importantly, it's listening to our salespeople and just meeting with them and just kind of having them walk through, what are our customers, what are they asking for, what are they doing, going on customer visits. Actually, I'm fortunate to be able to go on some customer visits and just sit down and just listen and just understand, what are the pain points that they have, and just understanding where they're coming from, and then taking that information to help color your perception of where you can add that value. So clearly things like Harvard Business Review are always great reads, but it's really important to for the specifics to really just go with a salesperson, meet a customer, and just hear firsthand what they're doing. It's the best way to learn anything, really. Yeah.
Great answer. What's keeping you up at night? What are the things that's like? I want to know that, but I also want to know what are the big opportunities that you see? Like, it's like, holy cow, man, this is like, is there a new area that you could potentially get into? Like, right? Is there? I don't know. I really don't know. What like, give me both the sweet and the sour.
Yeah, I think what keeps me up at night is probably not focusing on if not focusing on the right thing. Just there are so many different areas that you can really help change a business and move forward. I think what keeps me up at night is making sure that we're staying focused on the things that are actually going to move the needle and not get there's a trap where every new shiny penny that comes up, it could look like that's the next thing that you really need to go after. And so I think it's really just being sure you don't get caught in that trap, and just being clear as to where you're trying to go, and not being nimble enough to make changes in order to get to that final goal, but not chasing everything down that can actually distract you from being there. So if there's one thing that I just keep reiterating with my team and others is let's stay focused on the goal that's ahead of us, and not get too distracted by different areas. And then as far as like what I'm really optimistic with in terms of new opportunities, there are so many things that are happening at IEWC that are just so exciting in terms of really understanding how a customer, for example, different manufacturers, what their needs are, and how we can actually help them become better at their jobs. And so what I mean by that is it's not just about distributing wire and cable to them, but really working with them to become a partner. So when I mentioned before, you talk about agencies, right? Where an agency should become an extension of your business and a true partner. That's what I want to see IEWC do with our customers, which is, yes, we can give you wire and cable, and we're there to provide you a great product at a great price on time. But what else is there in your business that you're having struggles with, that we could help with, that we could augment your team with? And I think that to me is a really exciting proposition, because again, it's not about specifically the product. It's about that goal of advancing that company and being an entrusted partner. And so that's what gets me really excited, is that we have this purpose out there that kind of transcends the product that we're doing right now, and we're not beholden to just being a wire and cable distributor. We have other things that we can do to really help our customers grow.
Awesome, man. Dean, before we close up, I just want to ask, because you made a really interesting point, and I'm just wondering, with so much of your background and knowledge, you talked about the importance of staying focused, right? And I think we both would agree with you wholeheartedly. What hacks have you found that allow you to stay focused? Because sometimes, that shiny penny is really freaking shiny, right?
Yeah.
And it's only until you kind of go down that rabbit hole a little bit do you decide, so how do you keep the team focused and go, oh, no, over here.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what Kurt had mentioned earlier around when he asked about how present is the culture within the company. And I think really we have a really simple 5-year strategic document. It's got five pillars on it that gets repeated over and over again. And we look at that constantly. And if whenever we're talking about new projects, whenever we're looking at new ideas, that's the first slide. That's the first thing that we look at. And if the first question is, how is it going to help one or multiple, pillars of this strategic document? And if we can't answer that, it's a non-starter. So that's a really great hack. It's just having that. A lot of people put out strategic documents and their words on paper. We really look at that as it's our compass. And if what we're talking about doesn't help us get in that direction, there's no point talking about it. So that's been really helpful for us, and it's really the core of everything that we do.
I love it,
dude. I knew you were going to be awesome. You were friggin' awesome. You were unbelievable.
You made it. We waited for a while on this one, didn't we, Pat?
Yeah, we did, man.
It delivered. It was worth the wait.
Totally.
Checks in the mail, Pat. Thank you.
Awesome. Dean, you got the last word here. Thank you so much for being on the show. Tell us, whatever you want to tell us. How do people connect with you? You want to promote something, whatever you want. You got the mic. Take us out.
Yeah, I mean, number one, just thank you both for just a really great conversation. I really enjoyed it. I think the stuff that you guys are doing is just fantastic. So keep up the great work. Thank you for that. For me, it's all about, like I said before, it's all about having that student mentality. It's all about just learning and being curious. And I think for me, one of the things that I learned that I would just love to share with other people is as you're looking maybe for that next role, or you're curious about how you can make your company better, having a really clear purpose and vision is so critical. And a lot of people they kind of laugh it off as saying it's kind of just a nice to have, or it's maybe some yoga babble or something like that. But it is so critical to if you really want to enjoy what you're doing, to be with an organization that has a really clear purpose and vision, because it allows you to get behind something and get excited about something, and it removes you from just trying to do hacking more products and just trying to go after that bottom line. So I would just say stay curious and find an organization that has a really strong purpose that they're willing to go after.
Dean Stier, welcome to the pod. Thank you so much for being on. You were unbelievable. Kurt, this was a good one.
It was a good one. Thank you, Dean.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Take care.